Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monday, 7/21/25, 9:05, basically Central Standard Time. Means it is 10:05 Eastern Standard Time. I've got a cup brewing right now, my first cup of the day. About to go grab it once it's done, and we'll get started here in a little bit. Alright, good morning, folks. Good morning. So I started this stream today a little earlier than I wanted, but here we go. Didn't have my cup of coffee yet. The market's open. We're here. Look at this daily chart. It just ran through all those highs that I had labeled earlier last week and just climbing. 𝗬𝗶𝗿𝗍𝗍𝗍s. Alright, let me zoom in a 15-minute real quick before we get started in our Mindset Monday today. Okay, I'm going to dig in and put up a label for myself, my future self. Open 56.25. So it needs to be on that high, y'all. This close 81, open 81.25. So that one's right. Double click, go to template, load first presented, and extend it out about 10 days. Whatever. And it's 7/21. First presented. Go. Apply. Okay. Oh, I want this a little bit better. Okay, now we can lock it. Cool. While we're waiting, I'm going to put in a 15-minute template. Close 38.75, open 38.50. Okay. charts. There we go. All right, so just about bored with that. We're not keeping our eyes on this morning. I'm going to try not to. And come back when we're done. Yep, sounds good to me. Let's pull up our presentation for today and let it sit there for a second. All right, might as well get started. So today we're talking about Mindset Monday. We're going to follow along with me and 10 habits for trading with clarity and confidence. Now this is a list that I came up with to help me to find the right mindset to come into the trading week, every week, locked and loaded, with a couple of different resources that you'll see throughout. And I do give credit where credit is due. Now, again, this is a weekly reset ritual to focus and to align what your emotions are doing immediately. To set into discipline and remind yourself, these are my rules of engagement, and this is what I'm going to keep up with to maintain the long game. And lastly, performance, right? It's a thing that we have to think about. You can look at it as if you're an athlete setting up for a game, you're going to want to perform at your best every single time. And so, similar to what, let's say, a football team does, they prepare during the summer for, let's say, a high school team. They prepare in the summer. In the fall, what are they doing? They're putting the work and practice in to perform, right? Let's go to the next. So this is our intro screen. Trading isn't just charts, it's psychology. I started this with this line because it's so true. Trading isn't just charts. And in one of my episodes, you'll have to find it, it's the ATM strategy. I believe that's 6. Episode 6. I go in and talk about how to set up an ATM strategy, and anyway, you have to have some good psychology behind it, but you also can flip a freaking, poker chip and come out profitable. So, thinking of the 50-50, it can really mess up with your psychology whenever you have multiple back-to-back losers. And so, I like to think trading isn't just for charts. You can do all of the examination and breakdowns of what's going on in the market, but it takes one tweet from Mr. President Trump, and everything's out the window, literal. And there's a really good example of this in the book, Trading in the Zone, right? I don't know if I want to refer to it. I don't have it in this presentation, but basically it was I want to say soybeans or something like that, and a man was talking to a younger trader, and he said, hold up, and called in and put a huge order in, and it blew up all of the work that kid had just done, saying that the price was going to go in one direction, and this man just said, sit down, bud, hold my beer. Anyway, so, there we go. Built from Mark Douglas, Michael Huddleston, Rande Howell, and Presley Swaggerty. So he's probably one that y'all are not familiar with. He is Residual Earners podcast. He's really good with that mindset, and he has a system that I really like to follow, and that's 10 Habits to Have More. I think, yeah, that's what he calls it. I have it on my wall as a plaque and a reminder. I'm not going to go through the 10 steps. You can go to Residual Earners and podcast and see his breakdown on it. And it's less than an hour, and it's him and his son explaining their processes of how they have switched their mindset. I mean, he was a coach for Garland High School for 30 years and ended up now is one of the highest earning social engagement people, believe it or not, and owns multiple businesses. And if there's anything that I've learned from owning multiple businesses, you have to have the right mindset. And so I pulled him into this. Rande Howell is a psychology guru for trading. A lot of people go to him for one-on-ones or even small groups. But I love how he breaks down the mindset. And actually, I have one moment. I don't know if I have it here or if I have it on my writing desk over here, but I love how he breaks down like mindset, having the mindset of a sage, and these things. Again, you're going to want to go to his resources, but I love how he breaks it down. I don't do that much detail, but Rande Howell is such a great resource. And then Mr. Huddleston, 𝗧𝗍𝗍 himself, I give it all to him. I have learned so much from Mr. Huddleston since I started learning his theories. It's been over a year now, but yeah. So I definitely wanted to include Mr. 𝗧𝗍𝗍. He has some quotes in here that I have. And then Mark Douglas, just a game changer book, Trading in the Zone. I recommend reading that to get your mindset right? All right, so we're going to use this list every Monday, like I do, to try and clock in what that system is, so that it, number one, can be repeatable in the future, and that you can follow along what works, what doesn't, and then eventually lock in what you want for your systems, right? And this is kind of what I've done to get into these 10 habits. So, habit number 1, start with gratitude, not screens. Okay, I put that title up there because you have to be grateful for everything that you've been given. You can't be disrespectful with the universe when you're getting things. You have to remind yourself that it's a blessing, right? Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. I like how he says that. It's a mindset shift. Something that I tell myself is money flows to me effortlessly. And yeah, it could be delusional in certain people's mindsets, but at the end of the day, I'm not worried about someone else and what they think of my life or what I'm doing. I could literally care less. I could care less that no one's watching my live. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be recorded. I will be posting this. And if it helps one person, I'm a happy camper, right? Okay. Take 60 seconds before charts. And that's just 60 seconds, you know, I put that there. Take however long you want. If it's a 15-minute ritual where you go and read your Bible, where you sit on your couch, close your eyes and focus in on your breath, and you do 5 deep breaths. Which we'll be getting into how to actually breathe diaphragmatically. Not only was I a dance teacher and things like that, I've worked, or become, coffee. I started my journey artistically as a musician, and so having enough breath to hold and carry out long extended phrases is super important. And you don't realize from being a musician that you hold a lot of tension with your breath. And in my past videos that I have posted, my series on how to set up 𝗪𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀 and get to trading, you will hear me breathe a lot. Matter of fact, I'm going to put a clip together of how many, all of the different quick breaths that I give throughout. Right? So anyway, take 60 seconds before looking at the charts. Set that mindset up in here of, at the end of the day, this is not everything. And I put it here, this is where my trading screen is. This is my editing screen, and this is my laptop. Now, one thing I have to say to myself before every trading session, and I have this written down, everything is okay. All is well. I'm starting rough here. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. And out of this situation, only good will come, and I am safe. That's a constant reminder to myself. And number one, the ending, I am safe, reminds me immediately. Like, today isn't going to define who I am as a trader, as a person. I don't take things personally. I don't take losses personally. Yeah, I'll get frustrated. Don't get me wrong. But whenever I start to feel those emotions, I immediately go to, what's going on? I don't want this feeling. I remove myself from any kind of negativity, because negativity attracts negativity. And in this business, it's super important. And this is just from the first 60 seconds. It's super important to recognize how you step into play matters. Don't fumble the ball, right? We got to get some sticky hands. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the second one, reduce emotional reactivity. Similar to what I was talking about. So yeah, I get aggravated a lot. But it's that reaction time to your awareness that really matters. And the more that you learn yourself and your little nuances, the quicker it is for you to understand how to produce your emotional reactivity. That is a high achieving success method right there. Okay. And you have to be willing to it. So gratitude is the gateway to abundance. So being thankful that you're allowed to trade. Remind yourself that there's a lot of people that will never understand and could be the best trader out there that will never trade. And here you are trying to figure it out. That person could have figured out how to make more money than you could ever ask for. More money than Jesus. And you're still struggling, right? It's about a different path and how you get there. So, always be grateful. Again, start with gratitude, not screens. You have to have that mindset and away from charts, okay? So that's habit 1. Start with gratitude, not screens. Here we go. Habit number 2. Let me take a sip. All right. Accept uncertainty as the game. Now you see this quote from Mark Douglas. Anything can happen. And I've used the example twice now, once in this live and once in an episode. But if Trump says good morning in a tweet, an X, or something ungodly happens, you have to accept the uncertainty. You have to be, number 1, aware, using news sources to understand if there's a news release. There are certain aspects that you can avoid, but there are certain that you cannot avoid. And so you must accept the uncertainty. And it's as a game, right? And it's whoever plays the game the best that wins. And so anything can happen. You have to accept that. Your job is to execute your edge. Number 1, find what your edge is and be truthful to yourself that you have found an edge. Okay? And then your job is to execute your edge. So for me, I have learned ICT concepts and I've grasped onto it and I hold on to it. That's where I am, and I have found profitability within those contexts. And so that's your job, is find an edge and exploit it. Now, don't control outcomes. You do not control outcomes. And that is so true. So at the end of the day, yes, you put your bracket order in or ATM strategy in that has a loss, a stop loss, and take profits. But if the market dropped and had one of those wild releases of unplanned news and it drops 200 points, this is the NASDAQ, that's what I trade, you're gonna get slippage. Okay? And you do not control that slippage. And it's happened to me, and you've seen it on YouTube, on shorts and things like that from other traders that are out there and putting themselves out there. Good for them. You know, it's not easy. But I did see a video posted recently, and forgive me, I do not know this trader's name. It's just going on YouTube. You know, you see other traders. And anyway, this kid, he does reaction videos, and this kid literally loses 80 grand in slippage. Not his stop loss, slippage. Number 1, that shows probably over leveraged, but also I don't know his setup, so I can't say anything. But full circle back to it, you don't control outcomes. You can put that ATM strategy in there, have those losses, and have those profits. But in the case of it going against you, you cannot. You must accept that it can go immediately without you and against you. Quick and in a hurry, right? So, and in the same thing, in a positive note, because I do want to stay positive with our mindset, because it happens as well. Going for you and getting slippage above and making way more, right? Like, who would ever turn down an $80,000 slippage on the positive side? Not me, babe. I would love that $80,000 payday. Anyway, so that kind of brings us full circle to You have to accept you have to accept the uncertainty of the game. Hands down. Habit 3. Detach from the need to be right. I love this, and this is our first ICT quote. Being wrong is part of the process. And true to any form, if you're learning math, you get graded. The teacher tells you what to fix. You take another, you start with a quiz. Teacher tells you, start with homework, then you go to a quiz, then you go to the test, right? A lot of different words to get to the same thing. But before you test, you have to fail. Learn from those mistakes. Figure it out. And then you finally start to get there. But that takes time and effort. And you get graded on it in a class. But in trading, it's a lot different. Okay? And again, detach from the need to be right. Being wrong is part of the process. You learn your best trades from being wrong and telling yourself, I'm not going to do that again. Okay, that's loco. So, no, today we're not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to write down, what did I do? What was my mindset? What were the candles doing? I'm going to write this down and go back and look through the charts, stagnant charts that I've already printed, and say, okay, yeah, I can see this is a repeating phenomenon that I want to just not be a part of. Or it becomes an edge, and then you do become a part of whatever, right? So being wrong is part of the process. Now, this first check is follow the plan, not the ego. So you can set up a whole plan and even have liquidity that you think is in the marketplace ready to be attacked, and price doesn't do anything. It just sits there and consolidates and then goes against you, or something like that. You have to follow a plan that puts you into the marketplace, and then stop right there. Stop right there. Follow the game plan, not the ego. So in other words, you've come up with that execution plan, and it's held, and you have to hold and sustain that. Unless rules that you have for engagement or to get you out are broken, and it makes you there. But the ego part is this is going up. I know it's going to make a new high today. I'm going to pocket out. And this one's a huge one. Everyone wants to continue up. And this one's the biggest drop down is whenever it cranks up. And a flip on that is trying to short as the market keeps on gradually going up and up and up. Right? So you're thinking, this market couldn't just keep going up. It can't. I mean, it just can't. It can't go and make a new high today, even though it already did. I think leave the ego at the door, okay, and understand you have to lock into what the market's providing you, okay? The ego has to be left, and what the market provides and is telling you, whether you're reading it right or wrong, that's with practice, right? And getting it wrong or right, learning from those mistakes or benefits, I guess. That's a better process, not ego. The more ego that you have in there, the more opportunities you have for things to go against you. Losing is part of winning. That's kind of what I was talking about, right? So if you take your losses and you organize and make a conscious effort to not make the same mistakes, because you're going to find out, especially if you're new, you do the same thing over and over and over and over, and it doesn't make sense why you would. And then you think of the quote, the insanity quote. right, from Einstein or whoever it is, repeating the same thing over and over is insanity. Well, you know, it is insane that you don't learn from your mistakes, right? Especially after the 10th time. And it can happen and probably will. And once you get to that 10th point and you say, you know what, I can't. You either hit your breaking point and you move on away from trading, or you buckle in and find your path of least resistance. Okay? So again, I'm just wanting to reiterate is the word I'm looking for. Losing is part of winning. That's keeping a mindset of positivity that we're going to find an outcome that's going to benefit me. Right? All right. Let's go on to 4. This one's a big one. Predefine risk and accept it fully. Yeah. So, the beauty of, I want to say it's episode 6, is when I set up the ATM strategy. That's what I'm trying to say. So, that is a big checkbox for accepting risk, placing risk, and limiting risk. And all of that is from this predefined risk ATM strategy that you set up and have back tested for at least a month, okay? And understand how your stop loss will get hit and how your targets get hit and the time frame it takes from one to the other. What I've learned is with my 10-point stop, either I get stopped out immediately and then that reverses from there, or it lollygags and stays right around entry point. It goes up 10 points and down 10 points or something like that. Just bobbing and weaving and then eventually going up, right? So you learn how, and within different market conditions, like right now, it's 721. Summer trading, babe. If you look at Tanja Trades, she has a whole short about it. It's a different beast. A whole different beast. So, anyway, predefine risk and accept it fully. Kind of goes back to some of our old habits. But the risk is highlighted here. Risk is not the enemy. It's the entry fee. Rande Howell. Man, I love him. So, risk is not the enemy. You're literally putting money out in the ether. And you have to, in order to be able to claim participation, right? That's just how the market works. Unless you're doing sim. But anyway, risk is not the enemy, right? The risk of Trump tweeting, the risk of things falling out of the sky, and understand that whenever you place your order, define it in all of those things. Find your entry method and all of those. That's your entry fee. Okay? And there's only 2 options. You either win or you lose. And if you lose, the next thing that you do is take a step down in your risk. So if you risk 2, go to 1. Like my setup is risk 5, and then I drop down to 4, and I drop down to 3, 2, and 1. That's just my parameters. It goes from like $200 down to $60. Or, whoa, excuse me. 100, then it drops down to 600, or 60. Oh my Atlanta. I'm going to start this one more time. 10 cons, 5 cons, 10 points, $100-ish. loss, I lower. 3 cons, so I take off 2. I enter in with 3 cons with 3 targets. That's $60 if it's a loser. Now we're at 160. Then we drop down if there's a third loss. 2 cons, 2 targets, $40. Now we're at $200 loss on 3 trades. Versus, and then you can keep going. But tilt happens, and let's say you're like, man, I lost this first trade, but I know that I'm on the right side, it's going for me. And then you enter in with that same amount of quantity. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Because you've already engaged, you've already been wrong, and you have to accept the fact that you were wrong in that moment. Hands down, doesn't matter. Your stop loss was hit. It does not matter. Because at the end of the day, following the risk strategy and lowering as you go, it'll pay so much faster than trying to hold off on being right, having that ego, and putting in the same risk back to back to back to back. That's how accounts blow up. You want to lower your risk, and I'll tell you, ICT suggests that we lower our risk down to half each time. I don't technically do that, but you do what you want, right? Alright, so risk is not the enemy, it's the entry fee. So all those 100 to 60 to 40, that's your entry fee, and that's it. And your targets, that's your reward, right? And so you want to increase your momentum to being able to get rewards over time, and practicing and ensuring that you follow your rules and things like that. Moving on. Setup. Set the stop before entry. Let me go back. Set the stop before entry. Yeah. That's why I love NinjaTrader's ATM Advanced Trade Management Strategies, because it puts you in and it blankets it for that time, whether there's a crazy event that happens or not. That's part of it. It popped. But set that stop strategy before entering and have a game plan. Like, okay, it can go against me this much and I'm still right. Or I'm still fine with engaging and not closing. And then the next thing is emotional acceptance equals, what is POW? Let me go to power. Let me keep this organized. Okay, so emotional acceptance equals power. And yeah, Mr. Howell, you're right on the money with that. Because once you emotionally accept that it's okay to take a loss, walk away, accept it, write about it, journal, and breathe and realize that this doesn't define who you are as a trader. The next time you're going to have half the risk, or about half the risk. And if I lose that one, I'm going to go half the risk of that and work my way back up. Right? It takes time. Nothing is ever just instantly happens. And for some people have a beautiful luck bomb on their side, right? But those of us that don't, having an emotional acceptance of all of these things is definitely powerful. Okay, I need to go back to my presentation now. And we're about halfway. Habit 5. So build a repeatable routine. Okay. Routine is so important. Routine keeps us honest. And as humans, we're creatures of habit. Like, you've heard that before, and it's not a wrong statement at all. You have to keep your body into the same mindset every time you return. There's nothing new here. We're coming in, we're trying to achieve the same thing, and this system is beautiful for that, right? You have to build your own routine and what works for you, and you have to be open and receptive to figuring out what those things are for yourself, right? So let's see. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So in other words, you've built a foundation, you have rules of engagement, and you have systems in play that keep you safe in this bubble, right? If you didn't have those things, number one, there's nothing to fall to or lean on. You must build these systems in a level system that will hold you up and keep you in the game longer, right? You've heard the statistics. 90% of traders, 90 days, 90% of their initial investment. Those are not wrong statistics. And from what I've heard and read, it's even worse than what they actually share. Okay? So, building a routine that's repeatable. Number one comes with practice. It doesn't happen in a month. Let me tell you, if it did, everyone would be trading, trust me. And you would agree with that. Should agree with that. So, having those systems in play keep you in the game longer. And you have to figure out what defines it for you. I can share my experiences, but you have to build your own experiences and systems. Okay? And that's the crazy thing is, I could be short, you could be long, and we can both be banking, right? And it's 100% true. It depends on the strategy that you come up with and how you apply it and engage with the right mindset and not getting twisted, because you can be looking at this, have one system in play. I mean, you could use a poker chip or a coin or something to flip to put you in, and you can be profitable. I want you to remember that you only have to have a 30, I don't remember the exact number, but from what they tell you, it's a little bit lower. You can have a 30% success rate and still come out profitable. You can still, or close to break even, right? But you can still be profitable with 30% acceptance, or win rate. There it is. I think I'm running out of coffee. This is my first cup. Let me finish this slide and then I'll put it on now. So, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. So, you don't set goals, high and lofty goals. This is what a trend that most people do, whether it be for trading or for going to college and figuring out this or that. Striving for goals is a great thing to do, right? And you need to have goals in order to have something to achieve for, or else we're shooting blanks and we're shooting in the dark, right? So you want to make sure that you put in some goals, but the foundation that supports those goals is more important than the goals themselves. That comes into the mindset of how long are we looking for doing this? Are we only doing this just to hit the jackpot and then everything will work out? Or are we staying consistent throughout the whole timeline and learning the mistakes and taking little bite-sized pieces? That right there is the game changer. And I'm already thinking, most successful people, okay, and I'm talking about businessmen and women, do bite-sized pieces of work throughout their day. Just little bites, little bites. Okay, I'm checking off this. I have one friend that carries around a notebook. Okay, not like this. It has a spiral index, but it's about this size, and it's full, and he gets a new one every year. It's his system, right? And he's not a trader, and I've tried to get him to trade. He ain't doing it. He leaves it to me. But highly successful, has built businesses, and I've built them with him. And anyway, something that he likes to do is write down every little detail that he needs to do for that day. I need to call this person. I need to pay this bill. I need to do this. And this is his checklist on just a cheap little spiral. And those bite-sized pieces get him along further than trying to get everything crammed into one list. I have to finish this list. I have to finish this list today. I have to finish this tomorrow. Putting timelines on things is almost an undoing. That's just unfortunate. But whenever you can have the right mindset of, okay, I don't have to get the top of this list done today. Let me just, what's the easiest thing I can get it done so that I can take a nap afterwards and feel accomplished? Guess what? At the end of the day, your mindset should be looked at as, I've accomplished something and I'm one step further along in the goals of getting it done. The overall arching goal. Okay, so let's go to our checks. Ritual. So that's that morning routine. So like today, our Monday, Mindset Monday, going and reminding ourselves of probabilities and things like that. Discipline, how you hold yourself accountable. Within your rules, you have to have rules of engagement written in order for you to know what your discipline is and if you are doing good with holding accountable or not. Oop, I hit the back button. And then results. Your results are not necessarily profit and loss, and that is so very true. Results come way later. It comes by way of how you feel emotionally. Like right now, it's 10:52 Central Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, and most new, I'm not necessarily new, I am new, just over a year with futures anyway. Most would be freaking out the fact that they're not looking at the charts right now. Where's the charts? What's going on? I need to know. I need to see every single 15-second print from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. No. The results come, I mean, yeah, you benefit from watching all those, but also you've got to look at it as bite-sized pieces. Focus in on one session. You've got London, Asia, let me do it in order. Asia, London, New York Open, right? So you have a plethora of moments, and ICT labels so many different things. Oh, why do I have an error? Okay, I guess we're good. It's probably my Wi-Fi. Anyway, that got me throwed. So just know that results comes later, and that's it shouldn't be the end-all goal as far as profit and loss. I would think of results more along the lines of, I sustained my method of engagement today. I didn't engage today. I actually wrote in my journal today because I'm going to tell you what, holding and sustaining a journal is harder than you think. It's not just writing down, it's writing down every single day. This is what happened, and remind yourself. Okay, and it's easy to go weeks without doing that. And then daily prep builds identity. So how you engage, what are you looking for when you first get into opening up your charts? When you do open your charts, what are you looking at first? Is it the daily, the weekly, the monthly? What do you look at first? That you need to build your daily prep. Super important. Okay, we got to habit 6. I'm going to mute my mic, make some coffee, and I'll be right back. Oh, I muted my desktop. All right, I am back. So, before I bring my camera up, I want to put in a comment. Give me one moment. Okay, it's playing with me today. And look at that market drop here. I'm gonna go back to my presentation here and just finish her up. I have a comment posted in the comment section with a form. Right now, I don't think that link works. I tried, and we're just going to move on. Let me get my camera back up, y'all. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish up. We have 5 more habits that I wanted to finish. We started with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here we go with 6. Train calm under pressure. Train calm under pressure. So, for me, and how I resonate with this is fear hijacks your thinking brain. If you're sitting in this seat here, where I'm at, and you're in front of your charts, you want to think calm thoughts, waves of no emotions, that it's just you in the market and there's no distractions coming into your way. Whenever you bring in emotional baggages and things that happen outside of trading, it will affect your current trading. So, let's see. Whenever you find yourself in a calm state of mind, you think more clearly, and it allows you to focus in on what you want to, not necessarily what you want to see, what the market is presenting to you. Your mind is open and receptive to this new information, and there's a lot of information that comes in and constantly updates. Like just since the last little click through here, I can guarantee you that's probably bounced back up from that drop it was doing, right? Granted, we hadn't really played with the first presented fair value gap, so there's no telling. Semicolon, however, comma. Semicolon, however, comma. You never know. So, back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Here we go. When you find yourself being able to look at the market in clear eyes, and apply all the things, the habits before, you want to train under no pressure. Keeping yourself calm under pressure is what I'm trying to say. Lord, I wish I could edit a lot of this out. When you're calm under pressure, you can maintain sanity, structure, and how you actively engage, right? So I think of a fireman or a police officer or someone in that type of industry, right? They are constantly hounded with outside perspectives and different opinions of people, drunk people, upset people, arguing people, right? And so they have to maintain calmness and present both sides of the story, right? They're literally a mirror to what's in front of them, and they have to maintain that structure of, this is what I'm being dealt with in front of me. This is their story. Now let me get this piece of information and plug it in, right? If they bring in their own emotional baggage as a police officer, then it gets twisted, right? And then it could become this person's being more favored than this person, and then a lawsuit and going to court, and those kind of events happen, right? So you want to make sure that when you're looking for these things, you're staying into it. So a thing that I wanted to talk about that helps me, and like I said earlier, your breathing maintaining your breath during your trading, and even calming yourself in that first 60 seconds with breath work is super important. So something that I like to do, and this is something that you can do, is go to YouTube and type in diaphragmatic breathing, just to get a better example than what I'm about to provide. But we breathe in through our nose for 4 counts. Now I'm going to stop right there and let my breath out naturally. But whenever we breathe in, we want to hold in our diaphragm and our chest, okay? And whenever you do that for the first time, usually you find that you're breathing from your chest. Now your lungs are housed in your chest, and that's important to get filled, but to get a deep and an emotional connection to your breath. And you would be surprised, after just 2 deep breathing sessions, through that stomach, really deep in your core, can reset your mind. Like, I already feel more chill. I can feel blood flowing through on a micro level and microbiological level. And so breath work right there, that's game changer, especially whenever you get into the market and you're finding yourself struggling. And then the next one is journaling. Okay, so I've already hit this one on there too. Journaling, I keep my journal usually right here, but I gotta find which one. I have 2 types of journals. I'm not going to show you what's inside of it. So I have my personal journal that I maintain what my mindset is, what my strategies are, what I'm looking for, what the market's providing, and those sorts of things. And then I have a 𝗫𝐶𝑇 let me close it. An 𝗫𝐶𝑇 journal, and this is more just study with tabs and an eyelash in my eye, with tabs and things like that. So there's learning journals, there's, technically this is still learning journal, but I'd call that development journal. I'm developing my storyline and how I want to engage in the market over time, so that I know and I can follow along. Did I follow my rules today? Check. Or X. Whatever it may be. Did I follow my strategy? My, what is the word I'm looking for? You can say strategy, but model. I knew it was an M word. Your model. Am I following my model that's keeping me into my engagement with the marketplace? Okay, so journaling is a free, should be a free. You can buy paper. They cut down trees and let's put them to work. You know what I mean? Write down in your journal and keep that to your side. And it's something that never changes unless it burns, right? It's written down and you can look back to it and refer to it later on. Like, there's some things in here from whenever I first started that are like, oh my gosh, you are so naive. And yeah, you learn a lot from yourself, and that's why I'm not going to open up this book. That's why 𝗫𝐶𝑇 is so specific with, I'm not going to show you my journal because that's personal. Okay? And the more personal that you make it, the more emotional connection you have to holding yourself accountable to continuing to journal. And there's just, I have benefited more from keeping a log of what's going on than whenever I don't. I have gone through times where I am fully on it and obsessive over it, and then there's times where I'll go and dismiss it for a month and then realize what's missing in this life. Okay, so journaling, breath work, super, super important. Now, mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of those things that kind of brings you back, and you have to find and define what works for you. I have a story that I like to use that I just heard back in, I want to say May. I was at my friend's house that has the spiral notebook, and his cleaning lady, I was staying at his house, and his cleaning lady saw that I was trading futures. And so she comes up to my setup, and I used his TV. I have a traveling thing, but anyway. Excuse me. Something that really struck with me was the story that she shared. She had cleaned for a man who had Bell's palsy, and I think it was Bell's palsy. I'd have to, I'll ask her, because she still cleans for him, and I want to get more information on this, because it's a complete story of Jesus and how he takes care of us. Okay, so this man that she cleaned for with Bell's palsy lost his ability to move over time, and was aware that he was going to completely lose it 100%, not even being able to use a hand to control a mouse. Now, this man is a trader. He was a commodities trader, right? And the way that she explained it was, he made millions by just blinking his eyes. He had worked a system where, because, I mean, he's fully paralyzed, but by blinking one eye would be buy, and blinking one eye would be sell. So for me, a mindfulness moment is to think that I have the ability to manipulate my body. I'm a dancer through and through, and holding on to movements and being able to express myself with my hands is huge. I'm mindful of the fact that there's many people that would do anything in order to gain that access, that mobility. And for me, a mindful moment that centers my core, especially whenever I'm in a funk, because it happens a lot in trading, this story, that a man who had figured it out is able to live his life and continue doing what he loves to do by blinking his eyes, not being able to feel the satisfaction of holding that mouse in their hand to scroll the mouse icon around a screen to hit buy, to hit sell, or whatever, to be able to chart. He lost it completely at one point and literally had to adapt and overcome. And my thought is, if he can sit there and overcome such adversity, I can sit here and build my system the right way. And I hope that that resonates to some people. But okay, we're going to move on, because this is habit 6, and we've been talking about them since for a while. Okay. So this is a Rande Howell, Get Out of the Caveman Brain. He talks a lot about our ancestors, right? And how at one point saber-toothed tigers were our biggest enemy and our biggest fear. Holding us in our heads is being fearful of being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. And you fast forward to today, we don't have those fears. I mean, we have our own, don't get me wrong. I mean, did we not see all the chaos that's been going on, not in our country alone, but globally, right? fear's everywhere, and fear builds more fear. And so getting out of holding on to fear and removing ourselves from that constant message coming to us, you're going to find yourself in a better mindset to execute and to feel satisfied, at least, with the market. Okay, so get out of the caveman brain. There's nothing there for you. Basically thinking that immediately your caveman brain does not know what the value of $1 is compared to what we know what the value of $1 is. Your brain cannot signify or snap on to knowing this is money, this is risk, I am dying, it's a saber-toothed tiger. Fear is fear at the end of the day, and it's as simple as that. No one can snap you out of it other than yourself, and you have to learn how to become aware of when that caveman brain starts popping up. And this is where most of the mistakes happen. And as you see, my breath is already starting to come up. Breath work helps eliminate that immediately. Okay, but we're going to move on to habit 7. Focus on process over outcome. Oh my gosh. So process over outcome. So what are you doing in order to engage in the marketplace? That's a process. To dig into the charts, find a setup that works for you, and engage. Now, when you engage, we all wonder, well, am I going to make money from this? Can I retire? Can I move out of the country or go on a trip? You know, we think about these things that are outcome driven versus what the process is. The process is what shouldn't change over time, and we develop that process so that whenever we get to a point that outcome doesn't matter, we're getting somewhere. So judge yourself by execution, not results. Ooh, I love you, ICT. So judge yourself by execution. How did I engage in the market? And this goes into journaling. Did I just enter in because I flipped a coin? Or did I enter in because there was a liquidity sweep and Model 22 presented itself? The results aren't as important, because when you find out over time, your execution should do what? Get better. Then the results should get better by default. Does that make sense? All right, did you follow your plan? That's the win. Did you not follow your plan? Well, that could also be a win, because you realize you can break down, when did I start not following my plan? And then start snowball affecting into other things. Cut that all off by being focused. All right, let the scoreboard follow your discipline. Not your discipline follow the scoreboard. I should put that on there. So, yeah, it's the same concept. You don't want to follow what that goal is more than what it is that you're doing to get to that goal. Habit 8. Journal emotional triggers. Oh, I've been talking about this. Awareness is the first step to change. Rande Howell. Track what breaks your flow. Learn your patterns. Okay. Yep. I've already kind of given a lot of insight on this. Emotional triggers can be anything. You get a text from your ex. That's going to be an emotional stimuli that you have to focus on, especially if you had a bad relationship with your ex. So if that happens, how are you going to reflect and then move into the market? Let's say it's at 9:31, you hadn't entered a trade, which hopefully you hadn't, and you got a text from your ex. That's gonna stimulate you to think, why is this person wasting their time with me? Number one. And then you immediately go into some sort of defense that's built into you naturally. That's you being you. So you have to figure out what kind of emotional stimuli will trigger you. And these little things you can track. Like, let's say you ran out of coffee. This one's a big one for me. I ran out of coffee this morning and I don't have any, and I have to go to the gas station to get a cup before I go to the grocery store in order to fulfill my fantasy of caffeination. Okay, well, number one, there's time, because you have to take yourself from point A to point B. Transportation takes time. That's time away from the market. I'm already stressed because all I want to do is sit in front of the market. Okay, well, here's your plan, bud. Prepare the day before by knowing that you have your coffee. If you're going to be as obsessed with coffee as I am, prepare yourself for the future. Set up your coffee pot like I did this morning. I already poured my water in my Keurig and had my cup, because I use refill. I'm trying to save money. I don't need new K-Cups every day. Reusable K-Cups, I got that scooped in, ready to go. All I had to do was close it, power, and start. Right? And my cup was already sitting underneath it, ready to go. That's prepared and not letting myself get emotional triggers. Because at the end of the day, I'm sitting there, blank staring. My eyes are probably closed, and I'm leaned up on my counter. I can see myself already. Leaned up on my counter, just waiting for that first cup of coffee. If I didn't have that, and I know I have to go out into public without my first 2 cups of coffee, oh my gosh, I'm already triggered. And anyway, so whenever you're aware of yourself and your little triggering points, you know, okay, I have to prepare myself and set myself up for success. So you have to find and track what breaks that flow. Now, that was just a slight little example, but learn your patterns, and that's what you'll find is what is the key to unlock your success. Okay, so journal emotional triggers. That is like keeping up with yourself in that book, and it goes back to the quote, it's insane to do the same thing on repeat. So this is why you want to make sure that you write down what those emotional triggers are. Okay, something for me that's real, not just an example, because I'm always going to have my coffee. Whenever I see a news release candle, I'll just call it that, and there's huge spike in volatility and it's running without me. This is probably the biggest thing that I am overcoming. I won't say that I've overcome it still, but practice over time allows you to understand that there's going to be another setup that you're going to be a part of, right? So one of the patterns is whenever I see my charts showing volatility and it's really rapid and I'm not a part of it, what I've learned is I will sit there, and especially at the beginning, I would sit there and just watch, just be there, like, oh, maybe I can get in, A better situation that I've learned is I get up and walk away, and I've started doing that recently, and let me tell you, I've been able to achieve and get those little bite-sized pieces of little tasks that I need to get accomplished done outside of trading, right? And it's a full circle back to staying and maintaining and building habits to have more. There it is. Okay, we're going to move on to habit 9, visualize your ideal trading self. Now, I love this. This is something that it's kind of marked up onto the future you. And what I do, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. It wasn't that far of a trip. Let me tell you, my workstation is a lot. It's this whole probably 12 feet. Okay, so on the wall, I hold a whiteboard, and I've had this message written to myself for, months for sure. Like, this has marks through it and shit. My bad. And I'll just share, I am consistently professional. I am, this is the embarrassing part, I am the market maker. So just something as simple as this little mental game reminder to myself. And I really want to continue updating this, but it's been a mental reminder and that I've kept up on my wall, kind of like a picture, and it's a mental game reminder. I am consistently professional. So what does that mean? Well, it means that every time that I go into the chart or into NinjaTrader Workspace and look at a chart to engage, I want to engage as a professional, as the future Cody trader right here. Whenever I think about it in a mindset of who I want to be, it draws it into what I can be, I guess, versus shooting and missing and wanting it. If I come in with an approach of I am consistently professional, I am consistently professional, and tell yourself that, then you're going to get used to hearing those things, and law of attraction and these sorts of things come in together and play up with, you will eventually become a consistent professional. And it takes time, right? But again, my goal is to be consistently professional, that I engage in the marketplace with the same idea, with the same concepts, and not trying to make up my own things and or rolling the dice. Alright, you must become the trader you want to be before the market will reflect it. You have to know how you want to engage. You have to know what your model is so that you know you're in the clear. Okay, so clarity equals execution. Right there, what I was just talking about. And then identity first, results second. So you have to identify what you're doing, and it kind of goes back with, did you follow your plan? You have to identify what your plan is first before you can have results and be able to track your results to see if it's something that's even working out for you, right? So I love the idea of visualizing your ideal trading self and thinking of what that person is to you. Okay. And then I am the market maker. That statement right there is mostly for myself, of course, thinking, I'm the market maker, dude. I run this joint. The market maker is who we look at as what turns the market, where in trends form, change, or reverse. I guess change and reverse, or just retrace. I think retrace is the word I was looking for. But I am the market maker is a story I tell myself of that person I want to visualize being. I want to visualize being the person that goes in at the low of the day, or at the high and shorting, or at the low and buying. That's what you have to visualize for yourself before you engage. If you go in with that mindset, you're already setting yourself up for success compared to going in with, let's see what the market's providing. There's some high right here that looks like it could get running. You know, I mean, that's more, I mean, it's achievable, but you want to have a little bit more of a definition of what you are and how you will engage. Simple as that. It's not simple, baby. And we've made it to our last habit. Habit 10, reset weekly with intention. Okay? And it doesn't have to be once a week. Okay? You define what you need emotionally and physically. Mindset is not a one-time fix. It's a weekly practice. And like I said, can be multiple times a week. The reason today we started with Mindset Monday is because it's the beginning of the week. Sunday at 6 p.m. the market opened. It's been trading since then. And I want to make sure that whenever I do decide to engage, my mindset is there. I've gone through my checklist. I'm remembering that there's probabilities, and either I'm on it or I'm not. And at the end of the day, it does not define who I am, and it's not going to make me make more money or lose less. So, I think I said that right. Alright, mindset is not a one-time fix. Right. It's a constant reminder. You have to constantly remind yourself of these things. And like I said, Monday being motivational Monday or mindset Monday, it's a really great day to hone in on what you're wanting to look for, and to keep it up. So this is showing you could do it on Sunday night or Monday mornings. It really depends on you. You could even do a midweekday review or check in with yourself. That's all up into your journals, right? So, but really, getting just one day is already a step above what most people do, right? Okay. Now, reread this list, recenter, and recommit, the RRR. Reread, recenter, and recommit. That's all you got to do. Speaking of, we're going to go back to one and just quickly review. Start with gratitude, not screens. So come in with that first 60 seconds. Minutes is a little dramatic, babe. Come in with 60 seconds to breathe or whatever you need to think of and remind yourself. But think about start with gratitude. Anything can happen. Probabilities. They're either on your side or not. Accept uncertainty as the game. 3, detach from the need to be right. You don't have to be right to be profitable. You could have entered in and it started to go for you. You took profit because you realized, she volatile today. And then it immediately, and you moved your stop loss perfectly to just above break even, and the market comes and crashes, and with the dropping knife hits the floor running, and you have to detach from the spot of technically I was wrong, but I was profitable. You have to detach yourself from that. You engaged, you fixed and moved and adjusted your targets, which is trade management, and really good if you can actually hold in and realize, oh yeah, this isn't a good trade. Let me take some profit here and remove risk completely. That kind of helps you realize you don't have to be right. Because technically the market dropped, you were long, you still got some money out of it, so technically you're right, but the market fell, so technically you're wrong. I hope I'm making sense with that. So detach from the need to be right. Let's go to 4. Predefine risk and accept it fully. So you put in your bracket order, you're good to go, unless there's super duper slippage, which isn't totally a common characteristic. I mean, it can be, but you want to make sure you're engaging in the right times and not during those releases. Build a repeatable routine. If you engage the same way over time, then you'll know what you're doing, right? You'll have defined reasons to engage. So find that repeatable routine. Train calm under pressure. You don't want to have high anxiety when you're stressed. When you're stressed. When you're trading, it's a stressful environment. So train to come into this market or into your space with calmness. Fear hijacks overthinking, or hijacks your thinking brain. That's so true. That caveman comes out and it does not know how to justify, I'm losing money, so I need to just... Doesn't work, babe. Alright, 7, focus on process over outcome. You need to know what you're doing to get to this point. Okay? I'm not going to go too deep into that. Now, journaling your emotional triggers. You have to keep a log of what makes you tick. Okay? What the market does that makes you do this, or start to engage in the wrong aspect, or fear of missing out pops out. You have to journal where those triggers come from, and it can change so much. Okay. 9, visualize your ideal trading self. Who are you going to be? Are you the market maker? Are you calling yourself the market maker? Are you... I'm consistently professional. Visualize your ideal trading self. And the final habit, reset weekly with intention. So every week, like today, come into this marketplace, have a fixed idea, a positive outlook on your mindset, manifest positivity. All right, so that was the 10 things that I wanted to go over, the habits to be more successful, I guess you could say. I will put a link, and there are links in my other videos for submit your trading question right here. On Wednesday, we'll be doing live question and answer, and right here, we'll get there. Now, I put in Easter egg buried in new series. So, nope, I'm not going to tell you. There are 6 episodes, I'll tell you that much, that have an Easter egg hidden throughout. And it will eventually develop a story that comes out in a video in a whole new series eventually. So that's all I'm going to drop there. And then we'll talk about next Monday. I'm wanting to go more in emotions during execution. Okay? So I think that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'm off from my first live.